Well, hi, Sasha Black.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You're standing. You're not usually standing when I see you.
No, I tweaked my back like 10 minutes ago.
No. Do you want to do this
Yeah,
later? People
no,
will
it's
understand.
fine.
It does not have to
No,
go out.
I munched painkillers. It'll be fine.
Well, it'll be fun for me.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, why is it that we tip one day into our 30s and shit breaks? Like, do you want to know how it happened? This is so
Yes,
embarrassing.
please.
Like, I just stood up from going for a wee and my shorts were around by my ankles and I got like halfway up and I was like, oh shit.
Oh, no, you poor
Yeah. And I was
thing.
like clinging to the sink, like, please don't come off the wall. Because
Oh,
I
no.
literally couldn't get all the way up because something went in my back. Anyway,
Have you had this
suffice to
happen
say,
before?
yes, I
Okay.
do loads of exercise. So like I'm injured all of the time.
This
Like,
is
what
why I
is
don't
it?
exercise.
Right?
If you don't use it, it doesn't break.
I know. Exactly. I was literally only in the chiropractor last weekend.
Oh,
I just like, what's the
I,
fucking point?
I will say there was one time when I was also on the toilet and I twisted just to reach for some toilet paper. Done,
Fatal error.
done. Fatal. And
Fatal error.
I lived alone, and it actually turned out that I'd torn an intercostal rib, and like I had to go. There's nothing they could do, but it was so much pain for so long. But I
I
was
were
doing tons
laughing
of yoga
hysterically.
then. I mean, I think it is like we
Massive
predisposed
error.
us. That's what it was.
Seriously, every time I've done yoga. So I'm really bendy, like really unnaturally bendy. I'm not like contortionist bend, but like for your average like mid-30s woman, I bend very well. And yoga was always a problem for me
Yeah.
because I would overbend and like injure myself. My party trick when I was pregnant, when I was 9 months pregnant, I could still do the splits. That was my party trick.
Oh my God, that is asking for trouble.
I know,
Begging for trouble. I'm so
right?
sorry you're
Yeah.
in pain though. So is this a but now we have to go to like logistics and like process stuff. Is this a rising desk that you have, or did you just put your computer on a box, or what do you do?
No, I have I think it's called Purus or something, and it's like a glass desk and you can write on it in chalk pen. So if ever I'm in a meeting, I know it's so cool. If ever I'm in a meeting and like I'm like, oh shit, I need to write this down and I don't have a post-it. I mean, I always have a post-it, but if I didn't have a post-it, I just write on it in chalk pen. It's so fun.
I'm
Mm.
trying to figure out how I can make that work here. Now I could just get a piece of glass and
Yeah, or perspex over the top of your, just like get a piece
right.
of perspex cut and
Yeah.
then just put it straight over your desk. It's literally the best thing ever. I'm always writing notes on it. The
Because I'm always
bad thing
writing
is,
stupid notes and I don't I actually this is gonna sound stupid, but I hate to waste a post-it on them. Like I'd rather not
yeah,
waste a post-it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just
Hmm.
write it on your desk. Always have glass cleaner, and make sure that the cats don't go on the desk whilst the chalk pen's still wet, especially if they have white fur and your pen's neon.
I believe that's the voice of experience I'm hearing. Well, besides the back,
I
how are you? How has this month been? I'm rather
feel
boring
like
and
we
you're
should
probably
start
more
with you.
exciting. Okay, we'll start with me because I'm easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How are
Excuse me.
you?
I'm good. I am, let's see, I finished the revision on the parts of the memoir that I want to send to my agent, and I'm just waiting to hear back from a beta reader before I send that. And I've been doing my 500 words daily, but they're like turning into 1,000 words. But I only do it like 3 or 4 times a week, but it's just adding up so fast. It's just such a rush to do that. I launched a new Patreon level called Rachel says Plan. And that's been where we start tomorrow, which is the first here in New Zealand. And it is, I'm just going to help people plan their writing. That's all it is. Like, that's my
Sounds
favorite
amazing.
thing to do. I'll give them like a PDF to plan their month, and then they will have accountability and they will go in and talk about it. And then at the middle of the month, we'll do the famous patented Rachel rejigger dance where everybody goes, I failed to hit my goals. And Rachel says, that's great. That's what you do. That's part of your job. So now how are you going to rejigger to the end of the month? And then at the end of the month, we'll have like a little think about it, a little restructuring, and then we'll start the next month. And there will be a Q&A just for them, a live Q&A on Zoom for them. And it feels so good because I've been trying to make different levels for different price points because not everybody can afford the 90-day classes. And this is beyond just a $7 book. This is $25 a month to plan. And it's what I get so excited about. And it's what I get so excited about screwing up so often. So yeah.
I love that. One of the reasons I plan on a whiteboard and that I have a calendar whiteboard, so I have a whiteboard that has a blank calendar on it, is because I fucking change the plan like every month, more or less. Like literally, like I literally just messaged somebody today and was like, well, I'm gonna have to redo my production schedule. And I was just like, this is like the 4th time I've done it since I brought the whiteboard, and the whiteboard isn't even that old. So like, yeah, I love that. We're all just so damn optimistic.
Yes. We have to be these hopeful unicorns full of hope in order to be a writer. I truly believe that. And I think that, I mean, haven't you seen that? Like every single book you start, you hope that it'll be the best book you ever wrote. And every book that you finish and publish, it's going to be the best selling that's ever been. But it also almost doesn't matter because you're already on to the next thing.
Yeah.
At least that's what I find. But it's just continual hope and continual optimism that continues to backfill. And maybe someday we'll talk about what happens when it stops backfilling. But for me, so far, it's still doing it.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I can't believe you've done all of that in like a month.
It doesn't feel like that much. It feels like I should have done much more.
No, that sounds like a lot. That's where are we? Because like you had exciting news. Did we talk about that last time?
We never talked about the official exciting news, which is out now because it hit Publishers Marketplace, that I sold the 7 Miracles of Beatrix Holland to Grand Central Press Hachette at auction. So
amazing. Very proud of you. It's very exciting.
I could say those words. And that's the book that I was writing last year when we were chatting. And that was I wrote and edited the whole thing in 11 weeks. It was so satisfying and it was so much fun. And it's been the book I've loved writing the most. And it showed. And I just got out of my own damn way. And you were doing the exact same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I know. Well, and because this is episode 12, right?
I think so. I think this might be our birthday.
Oh, I love it.
And you have had a whole like career switch pivot into this brand new pen name and this brand new world, and
which is it's making inroads. Like I can't believe I like, look, it's not going to make me a millionaire, but it's definitely making me happy. So I'm like really pleased with what it's doing. And like the nice thing about it is that it's like obviously when launches happen, you get a nice big spike, and then that spike dies down in terms of numbers of orders and things, but it's actually settling at a really reasonable amount. Like it's not like I say, it's not making me millions, but it's making me thousands. And like that is life-changing to me.
Yes. That is what you need it to be.
Yeah, like, and even if each book, only brings in like a certain amount each month, actually, once you've got a second one, once you've got a third one, that's like a really like legit baseline for fiction income. And which brings me, I know I haven't responded to how are you, which I will answer in a second, but because it's our 1 year and because it's halfway through the year, I went back and listened to the episode at the beginning of the year.
Oh my God, that's horrible. You're a horrible
I know,
person.
I'm an awful person. I know. But yeah, to answer how I am, fucking tired is the answer.
Yeah.
Like not in a good way tired. Like no. I'm not really okay. Like
I'm very glad we're talking about it then.
Yeah. I have like withdrawn a bit from like multiple areas just because I cannot anymore. And I think what has happened, we haven't had a holiday in 4 years. We've had trips, but that's different to a holiday.
Sometimes trips are not holidays, trips are work. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And So that is one thing that has caused this. The other thing is like working too many ridiculous hours, taking on too many things, saying yes to too many things. You know, freelance was also quite a big chunk of hours and stuff. And, you know, I was doing all of those hours, but then I was also trying to run a full-time business at the same time. And like, all that does is mean that I work until 10:30 every single night for like the last 4 years.
That's not
And
sustainable.
it's apparently not sustainable. So yeah, I would say about a month ago, I knew I was tipping. I don't feel creatively in burnout, but it's more of a physical exhaustion. So yeah, I have had to, and really dramatically in the last 2 weeks, like actually take some just days off and like not.
Oh,
And that,
like a human being.
so I did then realize that I hadn't actually really taken like any time off that wasn't like on a trip or out of the country or like, you know, specific like childcare day or like holiday,
Right.
family, like Christmas or and stuff like that. And like most people get like in the UK, like, you know, 4 weeks of holiday a year. And so yeah, I haven't really done that for 4 years. So yeah, basically I'm really tired. But it's a problem when you love your job, right? And it's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
But because you don't feel like you need a holiday, except apparently you do.
For me, it's actually work. It is work I assigned myself. And because that's the only way I could do it is if I say, this is your one job today to not work. And it's actual work, but that helps. So what are you going to do about this?
Well, so here's the interesting thing. I broke my book this week. And like,
and this is book 3 or
yeah. Book 3. No less than 4 people, bastards, all turned around to me and said, do you think you need to take a day off? And I was like, no, absolutely do not. And then they were like, but do you? And I was like, oh, fuck off. So I took a day off and I sat on my ass and I watched like 3 movies that were all the trope for this book.
That's still working. Okay, but I'll let you have it.
And do you know what happened? I came up with like 12 different ways to fix my book.
Because you sat on your ass, not working.
Because I sat on my ass watching movies and I was so cross about it because I was like, fuck of you that this works.
And you know? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you were not even like, you didn't have pencil in hand and you weren't thinking like, I'm thinking about my book. They were probably just, were the ideas just rolling through your mind as you watched? Were they presenting themselves or were you going into your brain and grabbing them?
As I was seeing like certain tropey things or key scenes in the movie, I just made a note in my phone and then put the phone down. So it was,
that's fair.
It was less, yeah, it was less like actively deconstructing and more like, oh, I love that scene, I need to make a note, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so in terms of what I'm going to do, I have this is why I need to redo my production schedule. I am going to put a whole week in before I start drafting, where I need to watch a minimum of 5 movies in the genre. Because that's usually fantastic. I'm doing the input reading like for a while. So I'm doing input now for the books that I write in the fall, but it's the movies that are like the complete story in a quick amount of time that I also need. So yeah, I'm gonna redo my production schedule to add more time in, which isn't really about the work. It's not taking rest, but I have a holiday coming.
And what are you gonna do on it?
Nothing.
Good. That was the answer I was looking for. That was a trick question. You were, I thought you were about to fail.
No. Yeah, no, we're going to Turkey for 2 weeks and I'm going to sit on my ass and I'm going to read. I'm going to play in the pool with Atlas and then I'm going to read some more and then we're going to play games and then I'm not going to cook anything and somebody else is going to cook for us and it's going to be fantastic.
When do you go on that trip?
The 18th of July. Funny enough, like I hit that wall shortly after we spoke and I was like, we're booking a holiday, I just don't care how, we're just doing it, and so we did. But yeah, so 18th of July we're going for 2 weeks and I cannot wait. 19 days.
The most predictable way for me to refill that kind of drought is to sit on my ass and read as much as I can. And only what I love. I'm not reading for work. I'm not reading. It's only for passion. And once the passion dies in a book, if I'm like, I don't want to finish this book, I throw it into the ocean and never look back. Like it's dead to me.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going to take 3 workbooks and I had literally just decided that I need to read them before I go. So yeah, I'm going to read them before I go because I think when I'm out there, I just need to read for fun.
You need to read for pleasure. What are the workbooks? Don't forget that thought that's in your head, but now I want to know what books you want to read for work.
Oh, they're just for our Patreon masterclass.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. No, yeah. The other thing that I learned is that this is so sad, but I don't really have anything that isn't work or the gym. And both of those things are draining in different ways. So like, obviously I go to the gym, but that's like draining on a physical level, which is then compounding the mental drain from work. And the gym has a lot of benefits for me. I sleep better, I'm more positive, like all the rest of it. But actually, what I'm finding is that it is compounding the exhaustion at this point. So I've had to reduce a little bit how much I'm going to the gym. But what I've started doing is bullet journaling, because I used to do it.
I love this.
To do it. And I stopped because I made it an industry. I was like, oh, it's got to be perfect. Has to be perfect and arty.
And
on every
everything
single
has
page.
to be ticked off and
what a
perfect.
So, yeah, exactly. So I was like, no, this time, yeah. So I just brought like, and we don't tell Chloe, but I spent £36 on stickers. And
36 pounds on stickers is that's a reasonable start.
I felt like it was, but also we're not going to tell her anyway. So yeah, I brought, and now I'm like, no, we're allowed to make mistakes in this. This is just for fun. And oh my God, the pennies I have generated.
Oh,
yeah.
So in your Bujo, are you just tracking things, or are you also like doing little mini journaling? What are you doing in there?
I am going to do wins for the year. Every month I'm doing 30 days or 31 days of gratitude. So 1 line a day. I am putting like the planner bit in it. So I put my to-do lists in there. Reading tracker. Like I saw somebody online, like prints out the little book covers cute. And then sticks them in. And like, it's the most laborious, ridiculous thing ever, but it made me fucking happy. So I'm doing it. And I brought little star review stickers so I can color in the stars. Like, do you see what I mean? It's just the most indulgent, ridiculous thing ever, but it's bringing me joy.
It is. You're talking about play. You're giving yourself play. And I think exactly what you're talking about. So you had work and the gym, both are productive and you enjoy both, and they were producing something, and the Bujo cannot produce anything for you. No, it is. I mean, it's helping you, it's assisting you, it's a tool, but you can't sell it, you can't commodify it. It's just play. That's what you need.
Yes. And it's creative. The point is it's creative because that's who I am. So like, to create pennies, it is like, it's a creative thing that creates pennies for me. Like, yes, the competition loves the gym, but like the other big part of me needs that creativity. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's most of my news, but I think we should talk about how the year is going.
Oh God. Okay. What did we say? What delusional things did we say at the beginning?
Well, no, yours was actually very reasonable. You were predominantly talking about your connection project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you were saying you wanted to engage in more thoughtful ways and connect with like almost mini memoir posts like on social media.
That's kind of exactly what I'm doing.
I know, like
the 500 word project. That's what I'm diving into. Yeah. Go on, please. Go on. I'm liking this.
You also said that you're going to ask current readers what they want, and then you were going to deliver it.
Haven't done that because I forgot. I'm going to make a note.
And then you mentioned tracking engagement and the last one was using your 1 question decision tree.
Oh yeah, no, I've forgotten that one question.
It was about, is the thing that you're about to do creating meaningful connection?
Oh, that was very smart of me.
It was. You're so smart. But
I think that I think I'm honestly doing that. Like this whole crisis of, this midlife crisis that I'm going through, that I wrote this essay about it, and I had typed is this a midlife crisis? Am I in a midlife crisis? But my fingers accidentally typed midlight crisis. And I'm thinking about this midlight. What does midlight look like? And every time I sit down, I'm kind of thinking about how I want to connect and what I want to say, and kind of wait. It's almost like my project right now is the search. I've always had a magnificent goal, like a huge goal, a goal that I shouldn't have, a goal that I shouldn't take, and then I go for it, and then I normally get it. And right now I don't have that new goal. And somebody told me, some asshole, who was immediately, right. And I think it was in response to a Patreon that I posted from those 500 word things that I've been, collecting together. She said, maybe your job is just to wait and listen and search. And I'm like, well, that's stupid, but
Brilliant.
I can't quantify that. I can't go for that. I almost have to just be in the moment and look around and feel, because I've gotten myself to the place where I wanted to get. And what do you do when you get here? What do you what is next? And so feeling that and connecting and using that to connect with other people is exactly what I've been doing. For me, I think my version of your bullet journal is my morning pages, my journaling, which I'm actually writing about right now. So I'm thinking about this connection. They are absolutely useless. There's nothing in them that you couldn't go through them and pull out beautiful Rachelisms to share with the world. It's just me whining about plans is basically what it is. And then reinventing the wheel. Like every day I whine about plans and I reinvent the wheel, because my futuristic is so high that I live completely in the future. And then I even have a practice in my journal, and I call it AIR, which is A for appreciate. So that's basically my gratitude. I is for intention. What is my intention for the day? And R is for remember, because I have to say, this is a freaking journal. You should you had something amazing happen yesterday. Can you please write it down so you can remember that? And it is useless, and it is useful only for me. And it is so pleasurable. And then what I get from that is something that I can then think about and write into something that will connect with somebody else. Does that make sense? It sounds so airy fairy, but
No, I think it's amazing. And it's super intentionally connected in a way, because you are taking the joyful things and finding a way to connect with the readers, right?
Yeah.
So you're translating it. And I think that's magical. And I think you are fulfilling exactly what your goals were, even if you had forgotten them, which is even better. It's your subconscious was connected to your consciousness.
As it should be, as it didn't used to be. Did I have anything else on my list?
I confess I only listened to, I just tried to skim the section. So that was what I wrote for you.
And what about you?
Well, I just realized you were going to ask me that. And we have a slight issue in that my journal's down there with the goals in, and I'm up here.
Oh, and you cannot bend down to get that. No.
I'm going to try squat rather than everybody watching. This is going to be
narrate
hilarious.
This as most people can't. So she's squatting very gracefully, tipping to the side like the little teapot.
Butt cheek clench. It's only because I've been doing so many squats. My glutes are good enough to pull me back up.
That was very steady, very calm. Yeah. And she's up, folks. That's a 10. Dismount.
Oh no! Please tell me it's in here.
Yeah, you're not going back down there again.
Do you know what? If it's not in here, I'm going to cry. Okay, so mine were okay, so just to run very quickly through them. It was loads of fiction books, some non-fiction books, some courses, an audio book, establish a viable fiction pen name, continue coaching, read more books, and then get fiction audio coaching, but that has taken a different path now. Learn to bake scones, haven't done that one yet, though I did text my mum this week and ask her to teach me.
Good. So you took a step toward that.
Yeah, I did. And I loved that I came back, and when I found the goals, I was like, oh look, it's my goals.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like I am. I mean, I'm not going to do as many. I mean, I had 3 to 4 fiction books on there, and I will have 3 done.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
that's so good.
why am I such an asshole to myself? Like, I just cannot,
know.
I just am such an asshole. I just can't, it's just, oh, it's, yeah, just.
So here's something. And when I look at rejiggering plans, when I am redoing goals, I have this thing that I think about constantly, which is I can never be behind in my goals. I can absolutely never be behind in my goals, because if I am behind in my goals, all I do is I replan and I put myself on the day, the square of the calendar where I'm sitting, I am now on time and I'm reaching for these new goals. Have you sat down? You said you were going to rejigger the production calendar, but have you done that?
No, because I literally made the decision today and I've been in back-to-back podcasts. Yeah, no,
Okay.
but funnily enough, that is also what I do. And
Yeah.
that's why I rejigger the production schedule so often, because like, I just like to keep looking forward, not looking where we've come from, says my context at 33. So so that's why I'm like, oh no, we have to change the board. And the funny thing is, I should hit 4 fiction books by the end of the year. I'd be very, because I'm halfway through the 3rd.
Absolutely. No, you will.
So yeah, I reckon I will. Whether or not I do the rest is the question.
But the fiction is what you were most excited about. The fiction is
Yeah.
where you have been most driven. Tell me about breaking
Yeah.
your book. What did you mean by that?
Oh God. So oh God. Here's what I think happened. Everyone got very excited about GPT, and I am also quite excited about GPT. I think it is amazing. What I failed to take into account was how I think. And so I tried to outline with GPT, and what happened is it shortcut my intellection thinking process.
No.
Yes. So what happened is, whilst
yeah. Explain that in full for people who did just grok it gut wise like I just did.
Okay. Yeah. So what happened is I fed GPT all my ideas, and then it spat out like an outline, which I pushed to get more detail on. And then when I was happy with it, or what I thought was happy with it, I took it at face value. And I then sort of transcribed that into my post-its, because I have to have handwritten the outline. I just have to. That is how I work.
Yep.
Then I started writing, and I was like, ooh, something's wrong here. Not really sure. Let's just keep going. So I got to 40K halfway through this fucking book. And then I was like, yeah, this is very broken. And here's what happened. There were so I don't have, I think, connectedness. So I have 3 blues in my mid bucket, and connectedness is one of them. And all my stories, the characters and subplots and theme, everything has to connect to each other. And what happened is, when I handwrite out the post-it notes, that my brain like has this distributed like cognition that happens between my hand and the pen and the thoughts in my head. And so as I'm post-it noting, sometimes I'll scrunch them up and go, oh, no, I've got a better idea, or I'll connect this here and I'll connect that there. And because I was almost transcribing with a little bit of extra detail what I'd created in GPT, I didn't do any of that connecting. And I didn't realize I hadn't done that connecting until I got halfway through the book and was like, where are all the other fucking characters? So far, we've had a lot of fucking between 2 characters and like a little bit of fantasy plot and like not a lot else. And I was like, oh shit, there were so many holes. There were not enough subplots, not enough subplots. The key subplot that should have been there wasn't really there, and basically it was very, very broken. And I was like, I actually can't work with this. So that's when I was like, okay, we need to stop, watch some movies. So I watched movies, picked out all the things that I should have been doing, and so I just started I have just gone, let's pretend I didn't write anything and start again with an outline. And then if I can save it, I'm going to save it. I think I should be able to save a good chunk, but that was a big mistake I made.
I love that you're saying this though, because what you got was a beautiful glossy product that looked and felt great. And it tricked you into believing it. I once wrote a synopsis for, it was Hush Little, no wait, I think it was Hush Little Baby. It doesn't matter what it was. I wrote the synopsis for to sell the book, and I wrote it well, and I wrote it what I thought thoroughly, and that was basic. And I don't plot, so this was my outline, and my agent loved it, and the editor paid for it. And then I started writing it, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that this is a trick. This just tricked my intellection into thinking I knew what the book was, and I absolutely do not know. And it was basically like I'd written this thriller with a arrow pulsating over the bad person's head, the baddie's head. And how none of us saw it is because I'm a good writer, is because
Yeah.
the synopsis was good. And
Yeah.
I said, I'll be able to pull this off, but I couldn't pull it off because I hadn't thought it through. And GPT, if we are those kind of like, we have to have those neural connections made between the head and the hand or whatever. I would absolutely, that's why I'm so freaked out by you saying this, because it makes so much sense to me that I could absolutely see myself believing GPT, like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. But it's not full. It's maybe a bucket, but it's not a full bucket.
And so here's the thing, I'm not slamming GPT, because I actually
absolutely
really,
not. I love
it was so fun to play with it. And like, but I think what I need to do is like brainstorm with it.
Yes.
And like, just like talk to it, you know, for things like world building or for, you know, like character creation. But then actually I have to really come away and do all of the outlining and like creating that story, I think, just with my brain and my hand, really importantly, with the post-its. Like, and that's not to say that other people can or can't, or it's just that I need somebody to teach me how to do it better, you know, like because I still believe that there are ways to get it to do what I want, but I don't know how to do that. And I fucked it up enough this time that I've scared myself off a little bit. Like I need to, the next outline, I will not be using it at all. Because I've like gone, but only because I work so quickly. No, I work too quickly. And this is a whole month lost. That's a book. When you can write a book in a month, that's a whole book lost. So I don't until I learn more about it. I wanted to do Joe's, I did it. Did you? Oh, I'm so glad. I just heard on her podcast this week, she's going to do another one in August. I was like, I'm signing up.
Sign up for it, because I couldn't attend it live. And now I'm going through it slowly. Like it's literally open on my screen right now. So every time I have like 10 minutes, I go in and look at more. But her connections that she's making are so helpful to me to know what different ways I can use it. And like, while you're talking about, replotting, re-outlining, I would feel free to, like, if I were you, to go back and ask questions when you're stuck on the outline. Like, can you give me I love asking questions like, can you give me 25 ideas? Because 24 of them will be wrong. And the 25th will also be wrong, but the 25th will say, it will make your brain think of the thing that you need. So use it more like a bouncing off buddy right now as you're building.
Yes, because, and isn't this interesting? Because Chloe, when I broke the book, Chloe, Ellie, and 3 other people were like, because I was very dramatic, you understand. I was like, no, it's broken. I cannot rescue it. I cannot save it.
I'm actually very sad that I missed that part of the process, because I do enjoy that drama.
I'll Marco Polo you next time.
Yes, please.
Anyway, Chloe was like, you do realize that you do this about this point in every single novel? I was like, no, of course I don't. And then after 3 people told me that, I was like, all right, fuck off, whatever. But what she said was really interesting. She was like, I don't want to sit down with you and listen to you talk out the plot this time. And I was like, why? And she was like, because you never use my ideas. What you do is you listen to me talk, and then you go, no, this is the answer.
I'm going to play this for Lala. This is not a fight we've had, because it's not an argument. It's just a frustration on her part. She has said those exact words to me so many times. Oh. She's also the one that pointed out, maybe, I don't know, 10 books into my career. She's like, you do this every time. You always think this is the book that you will not complete. And it always is. And I'm tired of it, because you always figure it out and you don't take any of my ideas, but you steal what you tell me is wrong. And then you use that in some weird way. And then it's your idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to be asked the right question. I need to be asked the questions, and the questions then get my intellection thinking. It's deeply frustrating for myself.
But I bet you could ask GPT to ask you questions. You could say, act like my partner who has heard this too many times. Can you ask me questions about this book?
Would it do
regarding
that?
Yes, absolutely. Try it. I feel like a genius for having thought of it.
Yeah. Okay. See, now I'm like, ooh. Maybe I will go back.
Try
No,
to
like
poke,
I do.
you can challenge it. Try to poke intellectual holes in what I'm doing right now. Ask me questions about this scene or about this plot or about this character arc.
That's a good idea. Okay. I will do that. And I will also make a note to take Joe's course, because I'm like, I don't want GPT to beat me. Says number one competition. I'm like, no, fuck you. You will not beat me. I just need to find another way to work with you.
Well, and that's the nice thing is that I think there's a bajillion ways to work with it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so, just last night I was playing with it because I've been trying to approach this Venice memoir for many, many years. And I've always, what is her name? Cami Ostman talks about in memoir, we have the what and the so what. And I've had the what of the Venice book for many years, like, because Venice is, a second home to me, but I haven't had the so what. So I was playing with so what ideas, and I threw this question at it. I was like, my favorite, one of my favorite Venice books is Joseph Brodsky's Watermark, where it's just a little memoir about being in Venice in winter. I was like, how could I look at Brodsky's work in terms of my own memoir? And it gave me like 15 great ideas. It was able to do that, not by using any of his IP, but like, of course, but like looking at themes that were in his book, and it was incredible. It can do a lot.
Yeah, and this is why I want to be better at using it. Like I was really all like gung-ho trying to use it. I had the paid subscription. And then like when I broke my book this week and I was like, oh my God, why are there so many holes in my brain? I was like, and it was like cheese, holy cheese. My brain was a cheese, a Swiss cheese, and there were just these black spots of voids, and there was nothing. And like I did make another mistake as well. I separated, like, this is not important, but anyway, I made another mistake, and I have rectified that mistake now, which is a catastrophic structural change in the book, but that's not the point. Yeah. So yeah. I do want to. Sorry.
I want to push back on one thing that you said too, and you can fight with me. But you said, a month is a book. A month. Yeah. Oh, I love your face. Just no, I'm going to fight. That's what Sacha's face is saying. But a month is a book in the best case scenario, when all the best laid plans are perfect and you're feeling healthy and other things are not going on.
Best case scenario
book?
Best case scenario is 12 working days.
Okay. All right.
So the last three or four, I can't remember now. The last 3 or 4 books have been between 2 weeks. So 12 working days and 16 working days, based on me doing a 4-day week because of freelance and only working school hours. So yes, it is like, and like when you, I have the data. A month is a book. So that month includes all of the days that I'm not writing.
Okay.
No, it's not a perfect month. It's a 4-day week. It's just school term time, school hours.
Yeah.
Which is why, but obviously I don't write a book every month, because I have a lot of green strengths that need input and new stuff and learning and all the rest of it. But if I'm writing, then the book should be done in a month, if that makes sense.
If I hear everything you're saying, data wise, yes. And sometimes we accidentally walk down the wrong trail, because either GPT has fucked us over or we're just fucking human and you walk down the wrong trail in a book. And I think that's what I'm pushing back on. Like a book a month is fabulous, and you're going to be able to do that most of the time. And when you do walk down a path that it takes a couple of weeks out of your schedule, you're not doing it wrong. That's part of the process.
Well, yeah, but I want that front loaded. And I think that's the difference, because I've sped up so much in the last 2 years. I used to have a lot more percolation time, and not just percolation, but like a lot more, like I take in and consume a lot more. And so that's why I'm saying I have to rejigger my production schedules to have like a really intense week before I start, where I'm like just gorging input. And because I'm always reading, like, and that's another thing that I've had to do. Like I went from like, why am I so creatively drained? And because I was like barely reading a book a week, to like devouring 5 books in about 4 days. And I was like, oh, it's just
That will fix everything.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, it does.
That is another way that you play. That's like a huge way that you play on a daily basis. Like you have that. And yes, it is feeding your creative well. And yes, it is essential for work, but it's also something you just enjoy.
Definitely. Yeah, I have tried to be better at reading because I had gotten quite bad at one point.
Yeah. All of these things sound like they're good. They're giving you information on moving forward.
Yeah, and like I really like having a structure and a system and knowing that things are going to take me approximately this amount of time and I need to allow this amount of time for, you know, thinking or whatever. Like I'm totally okay with having to extend how long it takes me to do a book because I will legitimately include that additional week, like in the timeline.
You're building the buffer in. You're building the appropriate buffer in, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, and also being far more intentional about what I read. So like the next series is a vampire series, and like I'm already binge reading vampire books, get everything that I can get my hands on. I'm reading. So
yeah,
like
you're doing the vampire. You love vampires.
Oh my god, so much! I'm literally like, shudder, jiggery, that's so excited.
Okay, so then the current series, how many books will that be total? 4?
3.
No, 3.
3.
Oh,
yeah.
so but you're talking about the 4th book, and that just means the 4th book in your production.
Yes.
Schedule. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
4th book in my production schedule. Yeah. 4th fiction.
Yeah. I was thinking fiction. So then the vampire series, do you have that planned out for like 3 books or?
Yes, because I'm stealing something from 12th Night. So one was born a vampire, one had vampirism thrust upon her, and one chose vampirism. And so it's like the 3 houses. And so the 3 strands of vampire. Yeah. And then like there's going to be like the academy, like sort of John Wick type hunter, John Wick meets Blade type hunters, who obviously they're going to fall in love with and bang loads because it's lesbian spice. But I'm keeping the mansions. I'm keeping the magical mansions. So I've already threaded in like the line of like where this city is in the story, and I'm just trying to figure out how to include one character in this 3rd book for the new series. Yes. Yeah,
exactly. So they are interconnected, but not connect. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, see the connected thing, right? Like it's down in my mid bucket, but I tell you, I love connectedness books. Love them. So yeah, I'm excited.
Doing well. You're doing so well.
Apart from being physically broken
in half. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
So wait, this is my morning, so it's your night. So that's good. At least you can go to bed and sleep.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, did you read because what in the January episode we talked about books that we were going to read, and one of them was something brevity, like simple brevity or
smart brevity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you read it?
Yes, and I really like it, and I find it incredibly difficult to do in my own work because I'm absolutely smart brevity is the antithesis of who I am. But here's something that I'm using GPT-4 for. So in this essay that I'm going to be sending for my Patreon today, I know that there are just some places that I'm too wordy and I could look at it for, 10 minutes and fix those 2 sentences. Or today I'm going to start, I tried it a little bit last night and it was working pretty well. I fed it some of my own work so it knows my voice. I fed it quite a bit of my own work. And then I'm going to throw in those sentences or those pieces of paragraphs that are just not working and say, can you write this in a more, with more brevity, keeping voice, tone, and meaning, but can you make the sentence more directive and impactful by shortening it? And it does a good job.
Yeah,
and then of course I edit that. I don't take exactly what it is. And then I edit that, but it turns it around because I get stuck. You know how we get stuck spiraling on sentences or paragraphs. And that is shortening my process.
I use it like that with my blurbs.
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I love it for that. Like, I love that. I love
so did you read Smart Brevity?
No, but when I was listening to the episode, I was like, oh, I want to read that one. So I have actually just put it on my.
Because I've already kind of forgotten it. So I will reskim it and look at my highlights.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll talk about it next time. But
Okay, yeah,
it's
perfect.
also a very short book because it really tries to keep itself to smart brevity.
Oh,
But
I love
it
it.
is, when I think about using smart brevity and I actually use it in my emails, I get such a higher click rate. It is insane, the number of clicks that go up. So it works.
Yeah, I have been trying to, when I haven't been very consistent, burning too low.
Mhm.
So one of the things that has gone is the newsletters. But when I do send them, I am getting a significantly higher open rate and email responses, because I play with like white, if it was in a
Yes,
book,
the
it's
white
the white
space.
space you're playing
Yes.
with. Yeah. And I do that intentionally in there.
Mhm.
But also I find it easier because that's kind of how I talk. Like like
Yeah.
I speak aggressively, like, and there's like one word sentences or whatever.
And I speak in a
So,
meandering way with 147 words per sentence. And that's the way I
but I
write too. And
love
I
your
don't want to change. I mean,
sentences.
I won't change that. That is my writing style. That is my voice. But sometimes I confuse even myself. Like when I just, where were you going with the sentence? And yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Which of your strengths do you see most in your prose?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to just bring it up really quick and just glance at my top 10. Which do I see? Most of my, I love this question. It is positivity for sure, for sure. And connectedness, which is 8. So I always forget that I have that so high. And I think positivity and connectedness, because I wrote a book. It was called Splinters of Light. It's not a spoiler. The woman learns in the beginning of the book that she's dying. She has early onset Alzheimer's, and she will, die a terrible death. And everyone who read it was like, oh, it was so warm and cozy. She doesn't die at the end. She's, still on her way to dying, but they're like, oh, it's so comforting. How did I get positivity into that book? But that is my voice. That is what people say. I feel warm and loved and cared for, even if you're writing about hard things. So I think it's the
Have
connected
you
positivity. That's a good question. I want
well
to know yours.
have you ever deconstructed how you're doing that so that you can do
No,
it more, if that's what
no,
readers love?
I have never. But I might try to use the patented, I can never say that word, patented Sacha Black method of doing that.
Ah,
I have no
well,
idea what it is.
I'm just curious because, like, I was talking to somebody today about like voice and brand, and
Mhm.
that, like, over the course of a career, when we start, basically we're very mechanical with trying to
Mhm.
create brand. It's a lot of like colors and like imagery and like
Oh
who are your
yeah, yeah.
comps and what are your keywords and that kind of stuff. And then over the course of your career, you develop something that's like gestalt. It's like the whole is more than the sum of the
Yes.
parts, and it's like a
Yeah.
feeling and an emotion, but you can't really articulate that in the beginning. And like, like if someone were to ask me what, like, this person was like, can you articulate to somebody who's brand new to your books what they will like go away? I can't remember quite the phrasing, and I was like, yeah, when they buy my book, they also need to buy a hand fan, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
right,
Yes.
and probably not read it at work. Like, but and anyway, I can't remember where I was going with this. What was I even saying? I'm
Oh,
so
we
tired,
were
I
we were
don't even know
talking
what I was
about
saying.
building brand and gestalt and where your voice comes from and how do you deconstruct how you do that?
Yeah, but anyway, so this was it. So if those are the strengths that you're putting into your work, like, how, I don't know, I suppose it's a question to your intellection, like, how can you identify those places where you've done that in order to almost like inject steroids in it so that you can do
Mhm.
that to the max?
So it's basically like
Yeah, but your
buttering your
specific skill.
specific voice.
Yeah.
I really will think about that. I'm going to journal about this.
Oh, please
Because I think,
Marco me and let me know.
yeah, yeah. Let's maybe try to remember to talk about this next time after we've thought about it too, because I think what that does is kind of like when we're appealing to universal fantasies. If you know what your readers love about you, then you can trigger it. You can seed it with these triggers, these tripwires that they're going to trip over, which is going to make them happy. And it's going to make the readers who would most identify with your voice, who you want to bring into you, also stumble over those tripwires and have this explosion of what they want and need. If you can think about it rather than just letting it happen, which is what I've always done.
Is it the same for your fiction and nonfiction?
It's exactly the same. And can we go back
Okay.
to GPT for a second?
Yeah.
Because I was playing with his Venice book, and then I just got like, I was just fucking around, and I said, like, give me sample chapter titles, and then it was talking about dealing with the architecture of Venice, and I said, write in the voice of a best-selling memoirist that has heart and lyricism the story of when you anonymously bought a gondola ride for a very young, very in love couple that you saw at the pizzeria where you're sitting outside, which is what I did one time. And I just watched them take this ride, and it wrote it. And it was it was absolutely not my voice. And I was like, that is kind of beautiful, but it's not my voice. And then what I did was I fed it a 4,000 word piece that I'd written on Venice in another place. I said, here's my writing style. Rewrite that story, that piece that you just wrote in my voice. And it did it. And it was absolutely not what I could use. I couldn't have taken it out and used it without editing, but it was really close. And what it did, this is the point, is that it had this like very close to cheesy feeling. And I think that that's where my voice rides the edge. Like GPT couldn't pull off my voice because it went cheesy. When I do my voice right, it goes to warmth and reassurance and comfort. But it could tip over to cheesy if I just like used one wrong word. But it was astonishing at how it could direct. It could pick up that was my voice, cheesy and reassuring.
Have you asked it to describe your voice?
No, gonna do that as soon as we hang up.
Please tell me what it said. Right, I would love to know.
Because it knows. It obviously knows, because it rewrote its own voice to match my voice. Oh, and then one funny thing that it did was it just kind of got confused, and I said, rewrite that chapter for me again in this way. And it said, I don't know what chapter you're talking about. I said, the one just up the page, go ahead and rewrite that one. It said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then it rewrote a new chapter that was like about a gondolier who's like gondola sank. And I'm like, you're lying to me. You're just lying now. You're like, I know the story. I'm going to tell it to you.
You have to make it remember. You have to tell it to remember. But do you see, it is amazing. I do love it. I do love GPT, just not for outline for me.
But it could act like Chloe. It could act like Chloe sometimes for you.
Yes.
It could.
Yes. And that does actually give me hope, because I definitely think it's brilliant for some things. I just need someone to hold my hand and show me how to do it.
The Joanna. So people who don't know what we're talking about, Joanna Penn has a podcast called The Creative Pen, and she has been running these AI in-person live Zooms where she sits down and shows her screen while she basically builds a book while you're there. It's so
oh my god,
cool.
I'm so mad at myself for missing the June ones. I am. When she said it on the podcast, I think it was Monday or last week, so I forget. When I heard it, I was like, yeah.
You know what though? Yeah, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be perfect. It's going to reignite what you can use it for yourself, and what you don't want to use it for, which is outlining at this point.
Exactly. Oh, I think that was I have been. One of the things I nudge Becca to talk about occasionally is like what strengths look like in prose, because I find it so fascinating.
Oh wait, did you answer that for me? What are your strengths in prose? I don't think I did,
but I'm now indie authors, when I read their books, I'm trying to pick out what their strengths are, and sometimes I get it right. Yeah. Oh no, but in their books,
she does it. No, I know, but she does it like for movies and stuff.
Oh no.
You know how she does that
when I read their fiction. Yeah.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah. And
okay,
now I
what
read
about
certain. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I think it's slightly different for fiction and nonfiction. So I think for nonfiction, it's learner competition, which is the one that can break everything down and explain how to. Mm-hmm. And it's very definitely that combination. And I think there's probably a bit of self-assurance in there. That's I don't give a fuck, like just definitely. The whole snarky dick jokes kind of. So I think that's those three. I'm still trying to work it out for the fiction. I'm pretty sure it's competition, command, and activator.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's those three. Yeah. But also maybe a hint of self-assurance in the characters.
And also I'm going to say with the connectedness from coming up from the middle, like tying those top strengths into this little juicy knot that is your books.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, like a wraparound. A little teeny
Exactly.
tiny blue bow for my poor dead heart.
And on that note, all
Yeah.
right. So next month we'll talk about smart brevity, and
Yes.
we'll talk about this idea of specific. I don't know. We'll just continue maybe talking about GPT and how it could help us. And I want to know, where do you expect to be? You're going to be on holiday,
Yes.
so you're not going to get
So
very much done, and that's okay. You're planning
yeah,
for that.
well, we will have to talk offline about when we record, because I am going to be away the whole end of July. So either I'm taking my laptop, but I'm not taking my mic. So either it will be me on shit audio, or we'll wait till we get back. We'll deal with that offline.
Yeah.
So listeners, it might be late.
I might be late, and that is okay, because
Yeah.
Sacha will be on holiday. Oh, and I think I'm going on a 5-day break right then too.
So we definitely need to talk. Okay, we'll talk offline.
Little holiday. Okay. All right. Okay. Happy writing. You're amazing. Thank you for looking up the beginning of the year. That was very, very awesome. Okay. Bye.
Bye.